Hello everyone, Shirley here. Look at this bad boy. How cool is this armor and this weapon on the new Maghar orcs? Damn. Just sitting here for a moment to appreciate this. Anyway, quick video today. We're going over the new arms changes once again. I didn't think I'd be making another one of these so soon. If you didn't know, they made some small minor adjustments that thankfully alleviated some of my concerns with the spec that I posted in my last video. Mainly being that ARMS had some rage issues with certain talent setups, and they've moved some things around and changed some baseline things as well. So we're going to go over those real quick. Getting right into it, they increased our auto attack rage generation flat by, I don't remember, 15% or something like that. This helps out a lot, actually, just because the only way that we primarily generate rage as ARMS is through auto attacks and charge, and a couple of abilities now that generate rage, such as Avatar. But for the most part, you're getting it off of auto attacks, so this helps out a ton. The other big thing that they did to help our rage generation was Tactician got buffed. Now, Tactician resets Overpower these days instead of Colossus Smash, and they bumped this up quite a bit, and the percent per rage spent to reset the cooldown on Overpower. So now this thing procs all the time, which really fills out the rotation because Overpower is free as far as rage cost is concerned. And if you take Dreadnought, the talent that gives it 2 charges, it resets all the time, and you're constantly banking that extra charge. I really like Dreadnought still, even after these changes, because, like I said, it really pads out the rotation, just having 2 charges always ticking all the time. Our auto attacks are still critting, or generating, can't talk. Our auto crits are still generating 30% more rage. That hasn't changed off Seasoned Soldier. I don't think they changed anything else baseline. No, it doesn't look like it. They did move some things around in the talents, though, so going over these real quick. These are the same, except for Skull Splitter got nerfed, actually. Used to generate 30 rage, now it only generates 20, so it doesn't bump up the rotation as much as it did. I think War Machine's still going to be the go-to for AoE scenarios. Skull Splitter is still nice. It still fills out that little extra damage over Whirlwind or Slam. Not quite as much as Overpower, but you get that 20 rage. So if you like a really high, well, I won't say really high, but a higher APM rotation, then Skull Splitter is the go-to. I still personally really like Sudden Death because I can't give up my old ring. It's too fun for me, and it goes really well with the new artifact, the Azerite traits, being this one here, which was previously on our artifact weapon, which made execute buff your next mortal strike stacking 2 times. This also applies through the Sudden Death talent, just like it used to with the legendary ring. So I really like that big extra damage just to make your mortal strikes that much meatier, and they really do stack up, especially with the Dreadnought talent. So still like Sudden Death. Skull Splitter, you know, just more of an excuse now to use it, I suppose, since this got nerfed. Moving on, the 45 row got changed quite dramatically, actually. If you notice, Trauma is gone, which is what I was using previously in this build. It is replaced now with Massacre, a brand new talent. Execute is now usable on targets below 35% health. This is awesome in a lot of ways. This is it's not so good for dungeons because things die too fast at the moment, but maybe on Tyrannical weeks with high Mythic Plus, it'll be still, you know, pretty good. But for raiding, on the other hand, you know, you take a boss like Argus that has a really long execute phase, and you just prop this up even more, it's going to be huge, especially with the whole buffing Mortal Strike thing. So really like Massacre. It's more interactive in a weird sort of way, even though it's passive, than Trauma was, because Trauma was kind of just fire and forget in basically any situation. Massacre, between Rend and now Fervor of Battle, we'll get to that in a sec, being on the same row is a real interesting choice in a lot of ways for me. I think Fervor has switched places with Avatar, if you didn't notice, on the tree here. It's really nice still for dungeons because it's giving you that passive Whirlwind buff and the Slam, so it's still good for single targets. It's just more AoE, which is great. And like I said, Massacre, is good, but you don't really need it for dungeons because things die so fast. Rend, Rend is kind of odd still. It's still, even though we've gotten our rage bumped up, you can totally use Rend now without it being awkward, but it still kind of feels odd sometimes to use it. So, I don't know. I really like Fervor still because you get so many tactician resets and you're spending so much of your rage on Mortal Strike, and if you're using Sudden Death, you've got that proc up all the time, and you couple that with Blade Storm now, that rarely do you find yourself like spamming your filler abilities. So I don't know, the cost of Whirlwind being high in the first place is a nice rage dump. Ren gets the same job across. They're pretty comparable at the moment. It just comes down to which one you prefer, if you like a bleed or just some upfront damage. Like I said, though, as far as dungeons are concerned, I like the added AoE benefit of Fervor. So moving on, this row hasn't changed. This row has changed a little bit, but the 90 row has changed slightly, being that Avatar and Fervor switch places. So this I actually like because it puts Avatar and Deadly Calm in direct competition. In for the Kill is going to be like a math talent for raiding, I think. I don't think I'd ever use it in a dungeon, really. It just seems kind of weak compared to these two. Deadly Calm, if you do take it, makes our rage issues basically non-existent. Like, you can pad out your rotation with this. It's great. It's got a low cooldown, so you're constantly getting the benefit out of this. It is worth noting that it has been removed from Anger Management. So Anger Management now only affects Colossus Smash, or Warbreaker in this case, and Blade Storm. So Deadly Calm is no longer getting the added benefit out of it, so you can't stack these two anymore, which I like because I don't think the indirect buff between the two needed to be there with Avatar on the row now. And Avatar hasn't changed other than the whole Generate 20 Rage thing that it's been in the build for a while now. I like it a lot on this talent row. It's great because I like to pair it with Warbreaker and Blade Storm. They also buffed Blade Storm quite considerably. Deep Wounds is about the same, it's still doing a ton of damage, but the actual damage component itself off of Blade Storm now is a lot. So you couple that with Avatar and Warbreaker, and it's just melting AoE packs. So really like that change. Deadly Calm, I don't know, it's not as fun to me as Avatar, if that makes sense. It's definitely good, and it might end up being better in the long run, I don't know yet, but as far as like fun factor, even though they put Avatar still on the global cooldown, I think it's more fun to use than Deadly Calm. I just like getting big and angry. And then last but not least, the Anger Management row hasn't changed any. Ravager might not actually see use in AoE stuff now that Blade Storm has been buffed and they haven't changed Ravager. We'll have to wait and see, but as you can look at the tooltip here, it's not quite double, but it's 19,000 damage compared to 10,000 damage. Yeah, it's got the lower cooldown, but you're still going to want to pair that with Warbreaker either way. I don't know yet. Maybe it'll end up being better still with the whole Sweeping Strikes thing, so it's hard to say, but I like that Blade Storm baseline is a competitive cooldown now. I think it's been lacking that for a long time. Other than Tier 20 and Tomb of Sargeras, I guess you could couple that. One last thing, other than the execute stack thing on the artifact armor, we've got another thing that gives a buff to slam, and it makes it free and increases its damage. So I actually really like this proc. It sounds kind of boring on the surface, but with Fervor of Battle and just this build right now with our added rage benefits, it just makes everything really smooth to get this free proc. And it's worth using it, you know, because it's free, obviously, so you can wait on that Whirlwind. Now, I was testing it since Fervor of Battle actually slams at the end of the Whirlwind. If it would spend the proc if you Fervor, it does not. So it doesn't buff the end slam off of the Whirlwind. You actually have to use it independently, which is kind of a good thing still, because, yeah, you're not getting that benefit of the damage in the Whirlwind, but it's free still, so you're not, like, wasting that free proc because it's 20 rage, you know, that you would rather not just throw away. In an ironic turn of events, now that we have so much rage generation as arms, in certain situations, especially in AoE, or even single target, depending on, you know, your auto attack crits and tactician procs, it's rare, but I actually find myself missing Heroic Strike again. Who would have thought? We go from being rage starved to rage capping now, and there's situations where you feel bad inside of like a Colossus Smash window, for example, when you've got like a couple of overpowered charges and you really need to fire off that next Mortal Strike and you're stacking it up and it's like rolling on cooldown, but you're rage capped. But you know that it's more DPS to Mortal Strike at the like last second of this window rather than dump rage with Whirlwind or Slam or Rend or anything. So you go ahead and buff it to get that done, but you rage cap doing it, and it's like, wow, I really wish I had Heroic Strike back because it would be perfect, or just something, even Focus Rage. I know a lot of people don't like that spell, but just something off the global cooldown to dump rage. Like I said, it's rare, but it does happen. So that's about it for today. My conclusions on the new spec. I suppose I could go ahead and show it off here real quick. Kind of an ideal opener. What's kind of odd here is that it seems to be that Bladestorm itself is kind of more DPS on your opener. So filling out like the end of this rotation, like in the window here, as you see, like you're already rage capping, trying to fill that out if you do open up with Bladestorm. Now maybe you won't in the long run, we'll have to see how it balances out. But at the moment, like I really wish I could throw in like one Heroic Strike at the tail end of the Colossus Smash window, and that would really make things, I don't know, just perfect, I guess. So, really liking the new arms changes. Hopefully you guys can get in the beta, try it out, tell me what you think. Really like this new Slam proc too. Really just pads out everything. The rage is very spiky too, because everything is really expensive now. It's not very smooth. It's very up and down all the time. But anyway, I'm rambling. Sorry I haven't gotten a Fury video out yet. Or any video in the last couple of weeks. It's been a long 2 weeks. But I should have a Fury video out very soon, hopefully sometime this week. I've played it a bunch. I was waiting for a long time to let them finish all the changes that they had proposed rather than release like 3 videos because they kept iterating on it. So now that it's done, quote unquote, who knows, they'll probably make more changes to it. I'll collect my thoughts and have a video to you guys real shortly about that. But sneak peek, really liking the new Fury. It's really solid, and it's giving me pause to think of which spec I want to play come Battle for Azeroth. I'll probably play both, honestly, because they're both really fun, and I'm liking them a lot for PvE and PvP. And I've done a little bit of PvP on the beta thus far. They both seem really solid. So anyway, guys, thanks a lot for watching, and I'll catch you again very soon.